Okay, hello everyone. So, you've got the three of us in a room today. We are so excited to be together and to chat about this gorgeous little eclipse portal that we are stepping into with gusto today. So we wanted to share a little bit of our feelings, our ideas, what we've researched, what we're dealing with, what we're working with, and just give you guys some tips and just some guidance to get through this period and yeah, to just get the most out of this. So yeah, so welcome Karen, welcome Charlie. So yes. Okay, so Karen, do you want to maybe give us the astro stuff before we dive into the fluff?
I mean, as I always say with these, I come into it with an astro knowledge that is just enough to be dangerous because I'm not an astrologer. But I've been thinking these last 2 days how interesting it is that I'm always fascinated by the idea of the blue moon energy when we have two new moons or two full moons in the same astrological sign over the course of a year. And it's not as rare as you would think. It happens, I think, every year. Some astrologer somewhere is going to be like, yeah, wrong. And this year, this month, we are having two, or this current period, we're having two new moons in the space of Virgo. And I think that's really interesting, because Virgo it's priestess energy. It's sovereignty energy. When you think about it, what is that? If we take that word virgin of what it means before we give it anything to do with sex, it meant somebody who was whole unto themselves, a woman who was whole unto herself. And it's these new moons for me are an opportunity to kind of really go into the darkness that comes with a dark moon and come back out with just this little spark of what it is to be truly whole unto ourselves, to be truly sovereign in our being. And this year, we get not one of those, we get two of those. So it strikes me that everything that is shaped from there, from this month, from this point, is really asking us to go, right, so who are you? So what is your energy? Who are you and who are you bringing to the table? And I think that for me, that's the key thing right now is getting rid of all the other noise, getting rid of all the other things, and just coming back into, right, what does it mean to be whole unto yourself? And I've found it really interesting. We are recording this the day after the full moon eclipse. And I've found it really interesting in literally the last 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, how many times I have kind of come back to myself after a conversation or come back to myself after a load of messages have come in or after whatever and gone, right, hold on. What does the whole unto yourself, the truth of yourself say about this?
Mhm.
And so much of it has been like, yeah, no, that's not mine. Goodbye. And I've been left with just this one little piece of what is mine. And for me, that's what this eclipse energy is at the moment, is about us doing that, coming back to the sovereignty of our own being. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's my experience anyway.
I Sorry, Jolly, I just want to say something because when you said that, I'm like, oh, like it just hit me. So I just want to say, so yesterday I was just telling the guys before we started the call, I was like holding ceremony in this like ancient space that's near where I live and stuff. And part of my intention before, because it was like a beautiful womb space that we went into, my intention before was actually without thinking about what you're saying now, but like the feeling was like, how do I come back to myself and hold strong in who I am, in my sovereignty? And
Mm-hmm.
this is so interesting for me because like what we are doing right now, and I mean, we're fucking always doing this, right? But like it feels like this is now even more like pushing us, like step into this portal with that. Or what serves me? What is for me? What am I doing for me? Not to make you love me, not to make you see me, not to make you want to like me, all that bullshit that we live through every day. But this is like an ultra like push to decondition from the bullshit that's stopping the sovereignty to bubble up, right? Like that's what I'm really feeling. And that for me is my kind of my 2 week mission while I'm in this energy is to really solidify that within myself. So Charlie, I don't know what you think.
I think it makes sense because I think if we look at it collectively, a little bit of a wider vision, humanity is in a year nine. So this is the last kind of eclipse portal that we have before we begin to step into that newness that is a year one. And I was saying earlier before we hit record how it feels like we've done a lot of rehearsing, a lot of practice coming up to this. And now it's time to sort of like put our feet on the boards in a sense. And we can't do that unless we know who we are and what spark is ours to carry, if that makes sense, rather than everybody else's or the light that everyone's been shining on us, the light that comes from within us. So I think it makes total sense to be rooting into who you are on the most basic level, what it is that you want. And outside of the kind of external levels of mother, sister, daughter, like who actually your soul is, like what your soul is being pulled towards. So that when we step into that year one, and the next eclipse is, I think Karen said it was March earlier, to really be looking at summoning the dream that we've been creating, because we spent a lot of this year looking at what it is we want to create and what we want to do and what we want to plant and all of the wrong directions humanity seems to be moving in, and we can't fully step forward until we know who it is that we are, I suppose. So, and that sovereignty and that in that dirty word, but the things we're entitled to, the abundance, the joy, all of those things that we think we aren't maybe, or everybody's not entitled to, like a whole new level of sovereignty in a sense, like your own version of it.
And isn't it interesting? Like, it strikes me. So last night's eclipse was in Pisces. The next one, which is on the 21st of September, is in Virgo. And then fast forward to next March, we've got one in February in Aquarius. Then we've got one in Virgo again in March. So that's that triangulation, right? And as you say, Charlie, what that means is this eclipse window, that Virgo aspect of the eclipse portal is kind of straddling this end of a cycle, start of a cycle. And it's straddling with an energy of sovereignty. So we're being asked to almost sit at the end of this collective year 9 and go, right, you've been through all these last 10 years. Who are you? Who are you? And how is that going to fertilize? What do you chuck out and what do you use to fertilize the next? And then come March, we're asked to go, right, you're stepping out onto the stage of what you're creating and you're being held to account now. And I almost, when you said there about not even just those labels of like mother, daughter, sister, but actually also those labels. Because if we're entering a whole new age for humanity, we don't have to go with, part of our sovereignty is, and not just going, who are we in the work that I'm here to do? Who are we in the title that I'm going to give myself? If you are a mother of children, if you are a wife of a partner, if you are a son of parents, if you are whatever, what does that mean to you as well? And who are you in that? Because actually, even those labels, they're still going to be there. Those relationships are still going to be there. We're not going into the next year going, next cycle we'll just cast them all off. But we're getting to redefine them from a place of sovereignty, aren't we? And I think it's really powerful that you said those labels, because then how do we redefine those in a way that is whole unto ourselves?
Exactly. I should have clarified. I don't mean we should abandon them. I just think that sometimes we get very comfortable in accepting only the external labels or only the labels that are bound with responsibilities and priorities. And all labels are welcome as long as they are defined by you.
That's exactly it. Defining them by us.
And like, it feels like also part of this is like, because like something that I was thinking about yesterday while I was there and stuff was like, so everyone places an expectation on you. They expect me to be this mom, and they expect me to be this wife, and they expect me to be this friend, and they expect me to be this business person or whatever, right? So I've got like all these expectations on me, which I'm basically living so much of my life going, okay, is that one happy? Is that one happy? And like, am I meeting these expectations from these outside sources and these labels that I've been given? And then I get lost because the real Yolandi is kind of just the monkey for the world, right? So because, I've just been like observing so much over the last few weeks, and I'm like, well, like, how do I want to be like showing up as mother? How do I want to be showing up as daughter, as whatever? Because like for so long, all we've known is how to fucking perform for the world. And this is kind of going, this year for me feels like no more fucking performance. I'm done. Like, if you don't like this, you need to also redefine how you see me as mother, sister, daughter, whatever. But it's my opportunity now to anchor myself into what I actually require and need. And then how can we like come to an agreement for my label to actually work for me at a base level and everyone else to be like, you know, working with this? Because for me, it just feels like so much of it is so performative and so much like, okay, you happy, you, and then I fucking get lost. So that for me is a big thing. It's like, where am I standing and anchoring into me and then reflecting out to the world? So that's what's been coming up for me a lot.
Makes sense. And I think so when I said when like stepping onto the boards, maybe it was a poor choice, but it was the one that came through. So we'll stick with it. I don't mean in a performance way of next year. And I also don't mean it in a hashtag authentic way. I mean, because we talk a lot about this year 9, about the crumbling of systems and about especially the industry we're in, like the high gloss and all of that jazz. I won't go into it, but we talk a lot about it and the fact that it needs to have a complete tear down and redesign. But that only starts when we know ourselves individually. And as Yolandi said, and those labels that we have or accept or are given have clear energetic pathways and communication pathways. So we know what to expect from you and you know what to expect from us, whether that's child, friend, colleague, and so on. And by having that and having that vibration, we then get to step out into the world, the boards, the year 1, a lot lighter and a lot freer and with a lot more clarity. That kind of tendency to over define ourselves or over label ourselves or over explain then falls away, because what you know you're seeing then is truth in that person, truth in this person, and so on. And I think that's why at the moment with this eclipse, we have a lot of very definitive beginnings and endings coming up. Like they kind of are knocking us sideways and coming out of the blue, but then they hit us and there's no return on it. It's like once you've seen, I don't know, like Indiana Jones, once you've discovered something, you can't unsee it. And I feel like that's the kind of that's the potency that we're in at the moment, is a lot of things are being revealed and we don't have a choice now. We don't get a practice run or to go backwards on it. We have to go, shit, I've seen it now. We have to move forward.
Yeah, totally. And I think I want to say as well that I think that there is a danger if you're listening to this, that you might be thinking like, oh, that sense of who I really am without everybody else's labels of who I really want to be as a mother, as a wife, as a whatever, of you know, that sense of kind of stepping out into the world as true me sounds really scary because I'm still discovering it, which by the way, we always are, right? We are always discovering. I firmly believe when you stop learning things about yourself, it's time to shuffle off this mortal coil, because that's I firmly believe the purpose of life is to learn. And we are always, if not about ourselves, what else is there to learn about, you know? All right, the whole world and it's a bloody big place, but also ourselves. There's the inner world, there's the outer world. Anyway, don't get sidetracked with that, Karen. What I mean by this is, let's not forget, we are stepping into a collective year 1. Year 1 is a bit like the fool in tarot. He's going out into the world with his little pack on his back, going, not quite sure where he's heading. And actually, he probably knows a bit more than he thinks he does. That's why he's got the pack on his back. That's why he's got the little dog at his feet, because he's got a lot more support than he thinks and a lot more tools than he thinks. But he's still I was just going to use the word noob. He's still a bit of a noob at this stuff, right? He's still heading out, doing new things, a little bit naive, all of the rest of it. What I want to say is stepping out in the fullness of who you are now, whatever metaphor we use for it, does not have to mean getting totally vulnerable. Being authentic, with or without the hashtag, doesn't have to mean peeling off all your layers of protection, standing there completely naked and raw, being like, here I am. It doesn't have to be that. We still get to hold our protection. So if you need to still be the mum that the world has told you you should be at the school gates, that's okay. Like, you can let a bit of the true you out But if you don't feel safe to do that, it's okay. If you still need to show up in a certain way, you know, nobody is expecting you to be the fully formed 100%. This is me and my voice on the 1st of January 2026. And if they are, send them to me because I'll have something to say about it. No one is expecting you to do that. We get to protect ourselves because I think there is this sense that to be authentic, we must push ourselves to be vulnerable. And actually, what is being vulnerable? It's being in a place of danger. Like ultimately, that's what being vulnerable is. It's being at risk of attack. Now, I'm not saying that we have to protect ourselves to the point that nobody can see over our fortress somewhere like this. But what I am saying is that part of being a sovereign being, you know, is in knowing that you have the guardianship to protect yourself as well. And if that sometimes means you have to kind of zip her up and just go into somebody not somewhere, not saying all the things that are in your mind or whatever, that's okay too. Like that's all right. We need to protect ourselves as part of this too, because to go back to, I think it was what you said, Charlie, structures are falling. The world is toppling. And while there are some of us who are desperately like, let's go into this new world, there are other people who are desperately trying to defend the old world with bows, arrows, and flamethrowers. And we don't need any flamethrowers coming at us when we're naked and authentic in the new. We get to keep our Kevlar suits on for a little while longer, okay?
And I'm just going to say on that, I guess it depends on also your journey, right? Like, so for me, like this is my year one. So I'm already in my year one, my personal year one. So I am like fooling around. Like, no, I mean, you guys would have seen, like, I'm like trying this and I'm finding this and I'm doing that. So take into account like where are you at in your cycle, okay? Because it's also like for me it's like exploring, I'm finding new. You might be in a year 9 where you're ending off shit this year. You might be in a year 5 or 6 where you're doing things in a different way. So you have to responsibly, without bypassing, like make the moves that you need to make, because I think it's like it's important to understand that like so much the shit is happening and we are moving towards it. So there's definitely this call for action, but your personal year I think has got a big part of this as well. It's like woven in very deeply for me. And obviously that's why this year is like, oh, I'll just try this and I'll see where that goes. Da, da, da. So I'm fooling around nicely. 2 will be a bit more stable, I believe. So we'll see. Who knows?
Isn't that the way with everything though? Like it's dead easy. You know, this is a video about the Eclipse portal, but it's really easy to just be like, Eclipse portal is all there is. There's not. There are a million different cycles, personal and collective, going on at any moment. And in some senses, you get to pick and choose which one affects you. In other senses, they are all affecting you. Like you get to choose which ones to lean into, but they are all affecting you. They all have a part to play. And if you're not sure about which year you're in, as Yolandi just alluded to, as we've all alluded to in some senses, like what we're talking about is your numerology year, which is basically you work that out with your birthday plus your birth month plus the digits of the year you're heading into, and then keep adding them together until you get a single number. And if you want some more insight into that, because again, we are all very much amateurs on it, our lovely friend Megan, who has facets, is an exceptional numerologist. She is exceptional. She knows all of the things about that. You know, but that very simple, what year am I in? You can work that out yourself, and it is that simple. But there are so many different. We are all part of so many different cycles and personal and collective.
Mm.
We can't possibly give all of them full voice here. No one can. You just get to tune into what feels most pressing and most important for you at any given moment, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's is going to look different. Like, isn't that what sovereignty is about? Like, if we tie it back in, then your sovereignty is going to look completely different to mine or Yolandi's. And we're going to see the eclipse and the whole end of this year 9 and the year 1 for the world completely differently through our own trauma tinted life experience glasses. And I think as things begin to pick up pace, I always think of an eclipse as kind of like everything's kind of rubbing up against each other. And I know I say it all of the time, but it does feel like everything is very close and touching each other. we get to decide, as Karen said, we get to choose. And I think one of the most important things for me is to try as often as possible to look at it as things are not happening to us, they're happening through us now. And we get to decide what lens, like what we focus on and what we magnify and what we lean towards, whether that is, like we say, the numerology of the year, or whether it is the change that we want and the thing we've been working on for the past 9 years and now we're ready. We always say with Project Earthwork that there's no one right way to do something. And this is very much another one of those examples, is that things are going to come up for you that we're not experiencing, and doors are going to open and doors are going to close. And in that case and that friction, you have to root into your own version of sovereignty, which sounds a bit wanky, but like, that's the word.
And you know what the one constant is that I'm feeling like that always runs through all of this? The one place for me where I find my biggest clarity is when I am in nature and when I am in my calm spaces under a tree, like just chilling, or on my grass in my like yard, wherever. But like that moment when like the frenetic energetics of like all of this shit's happening, like I will find my peace in nature somewhere. I will find my moment of just like and then I can get my clarity again. So for me, that's the one thing that never changes. Like that's just like it's woven through the foundation of my being.
And I think that's the reminder, isn't it? That, collectively we may be in this and individually we may be in that. But actually, above and beyond all of that, we have this planet. And all right, as a species, we may not be treating her very well at the moment, and she may be undergoing her own changes. Some of which would have happened regardless, some of which are very much down to us and our poor treatment of her. But ultimately, she is our constant. She is, what is our steadiness. She's literally our rock. And so we kind of, there's two parts to that, I think. One is that going and finding peace in her when you're feeling a little bit unsteady, or when the world feels a bit busy or whatever. But secondly, I think there's that thing of, if you want an example of how to do this in a world that is moving between ages, in a world that is increasingly asking different things of us and starts to get really confusing, in a world where you might just feel a little bit like, I don't even know up from down, north from south. If you want an example of what it is to be a constant and also be permanently changing, look no further than nature. Because actually Gaia does that perfectly. She is always changing every moment of every day, and yet she is always constant and she is always there for us. And that's when we talk about sovereignty, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about having the flexibility to bend with the winds while also knowing exactly where and what your roots are. That's the power of it.
Oh, I love that. That feels so good. The ultimate sovereign being.
Planet. I always, as I talk about all the time, I always think if we were doing astrology from another planet, what would we associate with Earth? We associate beauty and love with Venus. We associate like anger and fire and change with Mars. All of these things. What would we associate with Earth? And in a sense, for me, I think there's a couple of things, but one of them is definitely that sturdiness and that steadfastness of sovereignty.
Ooh. And for me, if I look at it, right, like if I was standing somewhere, I'd be like, because I always look at her as the rebel who chose to do things differently, because she was the one planet who decided, you know what, I'm just going to try and do this and see how it goes. And then she just created all of this shit. Like she took her time, don't get me wrong. It took a few billion years to get here. But like for me, if I had to look at her, she's the one who goes, you know what, I'm just going to try this and I'm not going to listen to you who tells me it needs to be done like that. She for me is the ultimate rebel. So that's what she'd be for me. And you, Charlie?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's hard to pinpoint one. I think it would be something along the lines of, we often look at Gaia as something we need to heal or we need to protect and so on. And then part of me also thinks, but she can very capably heal and protect herself Like she is very much not a kind of maiden in a tower that needs to be saved. Um, she has like a balance of being able to hold others and also very capable of holding herself. Um, so I think there's something, so it would be something like that.
Mm.
That's the thing that always makes me, let me be clear and say climate change is not something to chuckle at, right? I'm not laughing at climate change, but it's the thing that always makes me chuckle is the whole dialogue is so often like, we're going to end the world. Let's be really clear. We're not going to end the world. We're going to end our world. Like we're going to
Mhm.
end our species and unfortunately, along the way, many other species. But we're not going to then end the world. The world will keep going. She'll just keep going in a different way and be like, all right, this part of my great big experiment to rebel and create life. They
Remix.
take them off. Let's start again. Now that sucks for us. That absolutely sucks for us. And I'd really like to try and avoid it if we possibly can. Just saying, that's the plan. But she will keep going. She'll just keep going differently. Unless we find some way of blowing her up, which let's be clear, I wouldn't put past some of the idiots who are in charge and all of those things. But the world will keep going. It is us who will end.
Beautiful. Okay. So I feel like let's do a last little bit of like tips that we can like just like chuck out. Like everyone give a last little bit and then we'll finish off for today, I reckon. So Charlie, what's your top tip?
Everything is going to become very multidimensional very quickly at a rapid rate. Root in, slow down, do all of the logical, sensible, very human things. We've got time. Next year is the year one. We are gonna run and mess it up. Undoubtedly, as Karen said, it's the year of the fool. Um, so just take your time with it. Not everything needs to be done immediately. That eclipse energy almost feels like a pinball or one of those pullback cars that kind of like pulls back and everybody's like, um, slow down. We got time. I think that's
Karen,
it.
what's yours?
I think mine is often an eclipse for me feels a little bit like someone lifting the curtain and showing you 10 steps ahead. It feels a little bit like somebody lifting the curtain backwards and being like, remember this. And a little bit also like somebody lifting the curtain forwards and being like, look there. And at the risk of sounding really cheesy, then you stand there in the middle and go, but that didn't work out the way that I thought it would. So how do I get to the place I've been shown? How do I plan it all out? We can't plan this out. Like you never can. You've got to. I just had a client session before this where I was like, perhaps what we need to learn is that our real pull towards the future doesn't come in images and plans. It comes in feelings, and we have to keep following the feeling, following that feeling towards the little glimpse. And so follow the feeling. And the feeling you need to follow for me is that feeling of being whole into yourself.
Hmm. Oh. And mine is um to stop taking everything so seriously. So it's like there's meant to be joy in this experience of our humanness, okay? And there's meant to be joy in being with people, and there's meant to be joy in running a business, and there's meant to be joy in like doing all the things. And if there's one thing that I really, really feel with this eclipse for me, it's like it's about like finding the pleasure in living and like really like finding that little the joy, the pleasure in like the everyday and the mundane and the hard stuff and the beautiful stuff and the easy stuff. There needs to be joy there. There's like that needs to come back, because like the suffering doesn't have to be so heavy. It's just like for me it's just like, and I'm not just diminishing it, and I'm not saying don't suffer and all that stuff, but there's an element of like we take things so seriously and we make it really hard for ourselves. And sometimes when you zoom out and you check where we are in the bigger scheme of everything, this little small little planet in the bigger scheme of everything, maybe that will help you. So zoom out, like get perspective, find the joy, find that like pleasure within yourself again. And I know it looks different for all of us, but for me it feels like, it's like we're here to have fun as well. It's meant to be like some good times ahead. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
So, speaking of joy and finding the feelings and good times ahead, have you been feeling the need to join us in Glastonbury? Have you? Because we only have 9 tickets left. 9.
You start to look a little bit like a televangelist there. Have you been feeling the need?
And then we have this like big red lettering going on. Buy now, buy now, buy now.
like a like the Sky TV, like American TV with like the little like flash thing that comes along the bottom. Newsflash, only 9 tickets left.
So there are 9 tickets left, but we know of for at least 4 people who are planning to book them. So actually, what we're really talking about here is 6 tickets left. We are
Great.
out
5, 4 and 5 is 9. Sorry, I'm just doing maths here.
Maths is not my strong suit. I'm a words person.
Can you tell who does the accounting for Project Earthwork?
James.
Not us.
You are talking about 5 places left in actuality, and we are what 9 months out. 9 months out.
More than that time.
We're not talking about, this is in the past. We've been like, oh, we've got 3 weeks left to go and there's still a couple of places left. We've got 9 months and there are 5 places unaccounted for. Like, if you want to be there with us, you need to act fast. And we don't say that in a pressured, like, buy it now or else.
No.
Remember, but if you want to be there, it's as simple as that. But remember, you don't have to. I know it's heading towards Christmas. There's times are challenging, but there is a payment plan. You can buy your spot there relatively cheaply each month for the next few months, and then come next June, you got something amazing to do.
And we would love to have you there because we had a beautiful time this year. We're planning on having another beautiful time, and this is just growing. So every year there's a few more people coming with, and we just love it. And this like weaving of this community of people who are invested in connecting with Gaia and living from this beautiful space, right? Like it's really good. So yeah, get your asses on the line, come through. We have people coming from Australia, we have people coming from America, we have people coming from Germany and Belgium and like all over. So there's no excuse. If they can come, so can you. So, work us into another trip that you're doing because it's so worth it and it's definitely life-changing. We've seen it with the guys. It's so beautiful to see. So yeah.
And if you're sitting there going, when you're talking about this weekend in Glastonbury, what is it? Like, what's the theme? What you doing? Honestly, simple answer is we don't quite know yet. We are getting together. We'll be getting together in person next month, after which we're really hoping that we'll have a theme and we'll have a name for the weekend. Right now, we don't. Right now, it's just a weekend, a Project Earthwork weekend. But what we do know is if the last 2 years are anything to go by, 1, it takes us by surprise. 2, whatever the theme is, it becomes something so much bigger than anything we write about, anything we describe to you. 3, we know that it includes energy activation. We know that it includes learning. We know that it includes ritual work. We know that it includes connection with the land. We know that it includes community. We know that it includes basically everything that each of us do individually put together. So you get a bit of the benefit of all of that, plus then whatever the magic is that comes when you alchemize that together. And we know that it's life-changing, quite frankly, absolutely life-changing. And that's not something that I don't think any of us say lightly. It is a thing all of itself and so much bigger than itself. Now you could wait until the end of October when we've been together and we know exactly what the theme is. But we might not have any places left then. If you're call, don't be sitting there going, I'll wait until. Just do it. You feel on the call, there's a reason for it.
In fact, you get 3 of us in a room for one weekend, which doesn't happen very often at all. Should be all you need to know. And if you're watching this, if you have been sent this magical portal and a YouTube link by your friend and you were wondering what we're all about, then come to find us at the Project Earthwork website or come and look at us in the Facebook community because we've got feedback and reviews in there and people are telling us what they're doing and what's happening and what it's been like since they came to this year's workshop. So, yeah. come with. It'll be fun.
Awesome. Okay, beautiful. So, yeah, happy Eclipse portal, people, and like may the force be with you and all the good stuff. And yeah, and book your tickets. We'll put the link under the video as well. So please, please, please come and join us. We'd love to have you there. Cool. Karen,
Yeah, thank you very
last
much.
words.
And we wish you all a wonderful Eclipse portal, if such a thing is possible. And we will look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, Charlie.
May your Eclipse portal be kind and potent. We will try and get something up next month once we've sat at the Chalice Well and consulted our fourth member of Project Earthwork, the land, the planet, and we will come and give you some more info if there are tickets left.
Well, we're
Perfect.
info anyway, but if there aren't tickets left, you'll just be like, oh man, I wish I'd been.
It would be a really gloaty party though.
Then guess what? Then we might have other different things, but they won't be as big and as exciting as this one. Just
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.